Can't even turn my
Your
microphone.
button has two halves.
Good afternoon, Sunshine Coast, and welcome to the Committee of the Whole. Pardon me?
Gotta wait.
Oh, it's not started. I gotta start again.
Appreciate the enthusiasm. Just a warm.
Warming up my voice. Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Sunshine Coast, and welcome to the Committee of the Whole for Wednesday, October 22nd and 3 p.m. I'm going to begin with with our special land acknowledgement for our neighbors, the Shishalt Nation. The district of Shishalt is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Shishalt Nation. We respect the histories, language, and culture of the people of the Shishalt Nation whose present continues to enrich this community. So I'm formally calling the meeting to order and want to check with the council members. Is there any declaration of conflict? Okay, seeing none. And now next, adoption of the agenda. All in favor? And it's carried. We're moving on now. No declarations and proclamations. So right on to our business items. And will this be a report from one of our staff members, or how do you want to address this? Good.
No, I think the third quarter report is self-explanatory, but senior management is here if there's any questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Okay, so now I'll look to the council to see if there's any questions on the business items. Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, thanks very much through the chair. I wonder if I could cycle through a few comments. I'm just taking a look at the commitment to climate change. And I see the first item completed, corporate greenhouse gas emissions and climate action. Do we have a baseline for the district about what our cheat sheet? Oh, sorry, page 4 of the agenda.
Annually, we have to report to the province on greenhouse gas emissions and, other climate action items. It includes contractors we use. So like Waste Management would give us numbers. We do numbers on our own, heat and our own gas and other things. So is it a baseline? I would say probably not yet. This is the second year we've reported. And so each year we try and grow our reporting. And so I would say we're probably not quite at the baseline yet, but we're getting closer.
Any other questions, Council? Did you have another one, Councillor Shepherd?
Sure.
Great.
If no one else is
Keep them
stepping,
coming.
no one else is stepping in. One thing, Chair, I just wanted to point out from the report that there's a note on under council support. Just a note that most of the documentation letters coming in are about the community safety, the unhoused, the situation, and it goes to what a high profile issue that is. It's not really a question. I did note as well under bylaws, rentals of our facilities, whether we could see, and I thought this was being done before, if we're tracking the number of rentals so we can see over, let's say, a 3-year period, whether it's going, my belief is it's going up every year, but perhaps that could be shown in a table. There was another point, sorry, I'm just off the top of my head about short-term rentals. I did again wanted to draw it to public attention that of the, I think it's 133 applications for short-term licenses, most have been approved. So I don't know if that's being understood in the public. Most of these licenses are being approved by the district, which people may or may not understand. I'll leave it at
Okay.
that. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Let's go to just your first question about the documentation around a three-year period in terms of how we track that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question through the chair. We can certainly have all of that data. So with that being a request, we're happy to put that in. I was thinking the annual report and then we can show the annual. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you. And any comments around the question or the comment around short-term rentals? Anything to add there? Anything new? No? Okay, great. All right, thank you. Question, and yes. Mayor Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Back on page 9, I wonder if this relates to the vandalism that we've had. I'm curious if we've got a cost estimate of what's involved in repairing these, because it's disappointing. We just got forget the name now, the Hublou installed at Snicket Park, and we've already had some damage. So is there any estimate of the costs?
Turn to our staff team for that. Do we have that at this point?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot, just an order of magnitude. And it goes to the same thing that somebody's out there stealing lights, because if this happened to a couple of merchants as well. So I'm curious.
Yeah, thank you for the question through the chair. I don't have the cost
Later.
immediately available, but I can certainly get back to you on that. But there has been some periodic thefts and damage. But this is I can pull the cost for this particular case. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Excellent. Yes, Councillor Inkster.
Yeah, thank you. The theft is we're hearing all about it in our town with other things. I'm wondering if we put signage on our buildings that said any fixtures and or other devices, electronic in nature, removed from our buildings will not work upon removal. Whether that's, I'll leave it at that. But because I don't want to add anything to it, but I think staff knows what I'm saying. Because obviously they're being treated as commodities and sold. I remember when CDs were $10, you could sell them for $10 on the street. And now they're 10 cents, if at all. And so now people are moving on to other things to treat as commodities that they steal. So I'm just wondering if in fact we could do those kinds of things that we talk about that are sort of much like we're told to clean up around our buildings so that people can't do damage and hide in the bushes, sort of a sort of anti-crime environmentalism that includes signage that says anything removed will not work once removed. Thanks. It may cost us a little bit of money, but I think it'll save us money in the long run.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Inkster. Could you explain what a CD is? No, just kidding. I wouldn't know myself, but, so any other questions? Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you through the chair. Yes, I was interested on page 33, again, about the bylaws, because, I mean, sometimes there's a feeling or whatever that bylaws are not enforced, but I think we could see here that there were 97 complaints filed and there were 201 bylaw fines issued. So I think that does kind of, put some reality into the situation that there are bylaws that we have. We do get complaints and they're followed through and people are fined. So that was more in terms of number than I suspected. So that was kind of heartwarming. And it was also heartwarming to see that some of the park signage and parks issues have been addressed around Crowston Trail, et cetera. So I think that's something I'm glad to see. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I'm going to comment on certainly in supporting and thank you for bringing up that recognition of these stats on bylaw, because I think it's important in that what we're hearing in the community, and certainly from some of the comments made by the delegation in our last council meeting, that that the community doesn't feel that we are doing things around crime and safety. And I think that these are the kind of things we need to show people, the kind of data and the stats. Because when we're in these conversations and in these times of very subjective, where feelings and concerns and fears are a part of this initiative, I think it's very important that we are able to show this data and stats. So the more we can get these and the more, I think we have a lot of them, I'd like to see more of these as we move forward in some of our reports. So thank you for that, Councillor McLaughlin.
I'll just may as well use my voice. Now, see, I was all fancy with humor and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh my God. Anyways, thank you I thought this was a super thorough quarterly report. These really helped me talk to people in the community. I actually take it to work and leave it there. Anyways, just so you know, I just want to point out that, one thing in our communication over the years with BC Housing around homelessness and the encampment is that it's not our problem. Like, nobody owns the unhoused, right? As far as being a provider of service or resources. However, they have been funded to hire these outreach workers that serve the encampment. So again, am I gonna say, hey, that's because we've been noisy and loud? Who knows, but it can't hurt. And they are doing, valuable work out there that is in some cases actually leading to housing. And I say that through wearing my other hat. So I think it's important to recognize that, as we may have a list of things that we're concerned about, I think it's also important to recognize that that's been a bit of a change for their policy, I would say. That's it. Thanks.
So again, I want to comment on that as well, Councillor Rowe, and thank you for that. Again, that awareness and acknowledgement, because again, this speaks to me about the fact, and what I'm really hearing is, I don't think we're telling our story enough in terms of what we're doing. And we know we're doing a lot, but I also understand it doesn't always show up as that way. So the more we can talk about these things, and I think I certainly, in comment to your, around BC Housing, yes, we're in these meetings, but we're not always able to share some of the information right away, but more so maybe we don't share it. So we're going to look at better ways to share the communication around the great job that is being done by both the staff teams out on the street. So thank you for that. Bring them on. Councillor Shepherd.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Just over to page 35, following up on community safety, there's mention of 2 workers. So they're hired by BC Housing, are they, as sort of community outreach?
I think they're funded by BC Housing through Rain City. But their job is for outreach with those living in the encampment, from what I understand. And to me, when I look at that, that's a change, because earlier conversations have been, what are you guys going to do, like us, about it?
Yeah, and to add to, I think that's my understanding too, that they are either in the process of interviewing or at some point in that process that BC Housing is supporting more outreach, and specifically for the outdoor campment area.
Thanks. And I see further down that, an issue that came up when we were first elected, which is vehicles sitting along the curbside, is being handled much faster than it was in the last few years. So yet another thing that's being done by the district to sort of police the public areas around this area. Thanks.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you. Great job, Council.
Can I ask a question on that through you? So what's the state of our parking lot where these picked up vehicles go? Because I think it's important for the community to understand there's a cost to that. And so some information on that might be great to share with community.
Great question. We're probably not able to answer that at this point, but may I ask one of the staff members to take that on and report back? Thank you. Excellent. Like bringing these examples and to the table. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair. A different topic, bottom of page 23. There's a reference to fluctuating power. And this is not just kind of a curious question, but I've noticed that a lot recently. And I'm wondering, Council, if there's an appetite to ask for an explanation, because as Councillor Toth, being a Red Seal electrician, would know better than any of us, there's impacts on equipment. I mean, we read that here. We've had some equipment replacements, I guess, due to power. So the question, is there any sense of why we're having what appears to be more in July or this morning? There was one I know this morning as well.
Thank you for the question. And through the chair, I'm not aware of any knowledge of why it's occurring. I'm not sure that maybe Hydro is able to better answer that, but I'm not sure that anyone's aware, but I can certainly look into it. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. And that's why I said is if there's an appetite, I'd like to see us ask Hydro to whether it's a letter or something. But this is happening a lot, and even power outages from that seem to affect a very large area for one tree or one bird strike or whatever that is the cause. So as we're going into this time of the year where we tend to get more outages, they have a real impact on people. And I guess I'd like to know if what's being done to mitigate that.
So we have that question, and I'm here back that we'll hear back from staff on that. Thank you. Ringster.
I know that Hydro went to better street wiring about 15 years ago to deal with our windstorms. Doesn't always help in the outlying areas. The question I guess question point, Chair, that I was going to make is that we, over the last number of years, we have spent quite a bit more money in our town in the social area, dealing with a number of things, including security costs. With people coming and speaking to us and/or with high expectations, I'm wondering if we should just, our staff and/or our council and/or our communication staff just keep talking about the amount of money we're spending that we have to tax for to deal with a number of these issues. They're not the magic wands that some people think we possess. There are a number of ideas that are out in the community, but we have to, when we make those decisions to implement some of the ideas that come from us, maybe not in the community, the problem is that we have to wear the success or failure with community-based ideas on how we deal with theft and social unrest and things like that. So we implement them, and those that may be proposing them, if they're successful, may take ownership, and if they're unsuccessful, we may not know who they are. It happens on Facebook. We see it all the time. So I'm wondering if we can just start talking more about the costs that we are incurring to deal with some of the issues that people are complaining about and insinuating that we have no knowledge, no interest in solving. Thanks.
I will support that. I mean, not in necessarily an action or motion at this point, but just more of a conversation around this that that's exactly where I would like to see us go as well. It comes along with the data in terms of, what we're actually doing, that list that some people can go, okay, this is what they're doing. And if we can put cost to it, great. If we can't, then that's fine too. But as much as possible, again, I think it's really important that we, in this kind of climate and where people are feeling the way they are, that we're as able to be as objective as we can. And I think that really helps us coming from a strength position. So I would support that and just ask that we do that, and we can talk about how that might look. But I know that some of that's already showing up in this excellent report. So maybe we can just think about as we go forward, just as that cost could be available, and we might want to look at how we do that at some point in terms of a report. Thank you. And Councillor Toth.
Thank you, Chair. The BC Hydro comment sort of tweaked for me because Coast Reporter actually did an article on it back in July, because we had
That's right.
3 outages in the 1 month, and it was mentioned that every single one of them here, at that time at least, was due to bird strikes. And they say that about 7% of all hydro outages are related to animal contact. You know, when we talk about the size of these outages, I think, I feel like when I was a kid here, the grid segments were smaller, and so it impacted less people. And so the timing is unfortunate because BC Hydro actually attends UBCM. So there was an opportunity that we maybe could have gone to BC Hydro to get a better understanding of their, you know, infrastructure investments here on the Sunshine Coast, and any opportunity for maybe even breaking up some of these large grids, so that, you know, a tree touching the wires in Tawanik doesn't shut the entire north end of Seashell down for all day. So,
Mhm. 2 days.
I'm happy to, you know, take that offline, or, you know,
Okay.
look at advocacy, you know, in the spring or next fall on it
Okay.
with BC Hydro.
Okay, well, we'll have a note of that, I know in our minutes, so I'd like to see us follow up on that, so great idea. Because I know living in Tawanik, we do have a lot of power outages, so thank you. Okay, and
Thank you, Chair. Page 33, reference, anytime I see slope stabilization, I get curious. Where are we working when we're talking, or saying we're developing solutions along the waterfront and sloped lots? So have we got a particular concern, or are we learning things to be used? Page 33, I think. Yes, 33, just above the title, notice on title, the building official, building department collaboration section right at the bottom.
yes.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Bell.
This would apply to the coastal slopes, and we have development permit areas 3, 4, and 5 that respecting geotechnical considerations. And some of them are quite complex and require building staff, planning staff, and we meet occasionally on site or here in the conference room with applicants and their consulting professionals to ensure that we have a factor of safety identified prior to issuing development permits, and what those conditions are, and how to follow up throughout the construction process to ensure that what was permitted was in fact constructed, and to ensure that we receive the various letters of assurances and sign-offs from the engineers, the qualified environmental professionals. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of collaboration, and occasionally we do consult with folks from Gibson's or SCRD on how they do this work as well, because it's a delicate fine balance between allowing permits to be issued, homeowners to work, and us having confidence that hillside development will be safe. Thank you.
Yeah, so I suppose my question was, is this a specific thing, or are we learning how to handle things? I'm trying to. Like, is this?
Are we learning anything from basically the experiences that are happening, and are we learning something from this?
Sure.
Is there anything
Yeah.
specific that
Anything specific?
yes, that we're finding that is sort of a theme, if you like, thread?
I think through the chair, thank you for the question. I think from our case, what we're learning is that we need to keep the communication regular with the consultants. I think where our challenge is that we issue a development permit that has specific conditions, and we don't always find months down the road that if we're not keeping regular communication, some of those conditions haven't been achieved to what we expect. So the primary piece that we're learning is to keep our communication regular with applicants so that we can partner rather than just firmly regulate in the end and pull out surprises as applicants might be concerned about when it comes to local government and the approval process.
Good, yeah, well, I mean, I certainly highly commend that. I know that the communication is a lot of work and it takes a lot of time, but boy, I tell you, the impact of it is tremendous. So thank you for that. Great. Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you. Through the chair, just to follow up on that, I wonder if the report we had from the SCRD regarding flooding, AKA sea rise, is taken into account there. It seems to me our standards are set on historically what to expect and our current understanding of soils. But in fact, moving forward with sea rise, that's all going to change. So I wonder if there's anything we're doing that's proactive. I mean, I know it's hard to speculate what the impacts might be, but it might be a consideration to just, in some of these cases, just say no, because there are so many unknowns. But one thing we do know is that we are getting sea rise and we are getting climate change. So without a lot of policy in place, I'm just wondering if we consider that. Thank you.
Director Allen?
Thank you. Through the chair, it's a good question. I think traditionally we've looked at high bank properties as being the hazard, but we also recognize that low bank properties can be a hazard as well. A key component of geotechnical reports is to identify safe flood construction levels, identify not just horizontal setbacks, but vertical setbacks as well. But there's a long way to go to refine that mapping, carry it forward into the new official community plan, and make some of those criteria a little more clear. Definitely a ways to go.
So what I'm hearing, it's certainly on the radar. We know that, but maybe at some point there'll be some tools and that you'll have more access to as this moves along. Let's hope so. Thank you.
Yes,
Councillor McLaughlin.
I was wondering, I believe that the Chamber of Commerce was working on with Dialogue in Toronto on some protocol on how to analyze these things using Seashelt as an example case study. And I think I do believe the mayor commented on that at some point early on in the term. And so I would just wonder if he has any comments on that. Thank you.
Do you recall, Mayor Henderson?
Oh, yeah, I recall very much. It was in the middle of COVID and I was chair of the chamber, and Dialogue reached out to work with us as the chamber. I don't know if anything's been done in the last 3 years. I don't believe so. But what was done was, best of my recollection, published. So I'd have to go back and look. But, yeah.
Yeah, I can add to that. I believe there was in June this year at the Ontario Association of Architects annual convention, there was a presentation on it. And so if there's anybody that has information on this and they present it to the Ontario Association of Architects, I think it'd be nice if they would come and present to us, because it's really critical, I think, that we get a handle on this with whatever tools are out there as soon as possible. Thank you.
Noted. Councillor McLaughlin, I'll leave that on.
Yeah.
Like playing with microphone,
Yeah,
you know,
stop the button.
on, off, on. Okay, stop it. All right, now I'll pause here for a moment to see if there's any other questions. Good, all right, excellent. So just finishing this part of the agenda, I just want to thank the staff sincerely for all of the work that has gone into this report. I absolutely agree with Councillor Rowe on this. It really is summarized with the critical information we need. And I love the fact that we're starting to see more stats showing up. So keep up the great work and thank you for this. Leave it on. I know I have a thing. I kept pushing the buttons. Okay.
At least you're pushing your own.
Oh, there we go. I'm addicted to buttons. All right, moving on to now to what is our next? 5.2, fees and charges amendment bylaw number 57517/2025, fee increases and general housekeeping. And who will be reporting on this? I believe it's Carrie Ann. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have prepared a brief slide presentation if council is interested, or if they prefer just to address specific questions, we can go that way as well.
Perfect. I'm certainly supportive of that. Thank you.
So you'll notice from the staff report that the fees and charges bylaw is quite extensive, and the presentation includes a brief overview of the bylaw itself and the proposed amendments. So our goals here are to include all the fees and charges that are charged by the District of Sechelt in the one bylaw rather than having them scattered through all of the other bylaws that apply to those services that are provided. The other goal, of course, is to ensure that our fee increases are reflective of the actual cost to provide this service. So the fees and charges bylaw is the actual mechanism that gives the District of Sechelt the ability to charge fees outside of any property taxes or levies. So our bylaw also includes provisions for late payment charges, dishonored payments and overpayments, applicable taxes on any fees, refunds, and then the schedules, which are what specify the amounts that are charged for the different services. So our bylaw was last updated in 2019, which is the reason for the extent of the updates this time. We wanted to have a close look at all of our fees across the board. So the considerations included increased cost of labor. That includes the new union agreement, the cost of utilities, including hydro and gas, shipping, supplies, and then there's a few new fees to cover services that are either currently subsidized by tax revenue or they're just new services in general. So the proposed changes are corrections to issues with numbering and the list of the schedules, and then we've added and updated specific fees on the schedules. And just to confirm, there's no changes proposed for late payment charges, dishonored payments and overpayments, applicable taxes or refunds. So these are all the schedules, and here I'm going to pause and see if any members of council would like to jump into a specific schedule, or we can review the changes for each schedule if council prefers.
Mayor Henderson.
Sure, thanks, Chair. Maybe to cut through it, do you have a guesstimate of how much, sorry, I got to look this way. How much we're talking about in extra revenue from all of this? Like, I'd be interested if it's not that much, then these are all, as I think was said, housekeeping, and I'd be happy to move forward. But an order of magnitude of what is the benefit of doing all these increases, please?
Good question.
Because the changes are so widespread and they vary, some schedules have gone up by 3% across the whole schedule, some are more like 5%, and other fees have changed based on the actual cost to provide the service. So in those cases, it'll really depend on the number of applications we receive next year. It's pretty hard to ballpark a specific number that will reflect the actual increase. It would take quite a lot of analysis, but I would turn that over to our finance department to provide some clarification on that.
Thank you. Yep, thank you for the question. Yeah, I would say it's more along the nominal side. There's, none of these fee increases are going to create a huge jump in revenues, but it all helps.
Absolutely. Any other questions before we consider whether we'll move forward with that thought? Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I'm just wondering, and I'm kind of assuming that these fees are in line with neighboring jurisdictions. They're not, extremely high or low, but I mean, I'm almost thinking fees and stuff like this should be standardized across BC. Good job for AI. Don't want to put anybody out of work, but honestly, I just wish we could simplify this and know that they're standardized. At least for our jurisdiction, standardized, but hopefully even longer term by the province. Thank you.
Great. Councillor Rowe.
Through you. So am I correct that these really haven't been updated for a few years? Like 6, maybe 5 or 6?
2019.
So given the cost of living over that time, I don't have any issues, and I would be happy to move the recommendation.
And this may, I have a question myself to the chair. I'm questioning about any new bylaws, like where do, I know that we have to go through a process and so on in terms of motions and so on, but I'm just curious where are these sort of flagged in here? Do they show up at some point in terms of any new bylaws, or how we start to look at new bylaws? I need a little bit of a training on that.
Okay, I might need some more clarification in terms of new so there's a series of bylaw amendments that are
Right.
included in this report. So pulling the fees out of one bylaw, putting them into the fees and charges here means we have a new amendment to remove that from those other bylaws. Are you referring to a different type of new bylaw?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, you know, sometimes, I mean, we've been hearing a lot about bylaws lately. And I'm not saying that we need them, but I'm just wondering how those are considered and how they come to the table. This again is learning for me as to, I know it's part of the process that we needs to come to council, et cetera, but just maybe speak to that a little bit.
Sure. So basically, if a member of council was interested in discussing the addition of a new bylaw for the district of Sechelt, they could bring that forward through the notice of motion process or have a conversation with the CAO about what way is the best for that situation. Each bylaw can have very different connotations
Absolutely.
and context. So
No, I know it's not an easy yes, no. Great. Good. Thank you. That's helpful for me. Any other comments,
Got a
questions?
mover for a motion.
Yes, okay, so we're
For a
good.
second.
Oh, so we have a motion on the table or a mover for the motion on the table. And do we have a seconder? And Councillor Shepherd? Any further discussion? Any further discussion, Councillor Shepherd? Yes.
My own petty concern with the fees has always been, and I won't fail to mention it, keep mentioning it, is legal fees for draft documents. For instance, a lease at the airport, that we don't charge a legal fee. And I'm just wondering, I wonder if I could direct a question to council. Do other municipalities charge legal fees for legal work? Thanks.
Good point. Good question. Can anyone answer? Marcel, thank you.
In some circumstances, yes, it would depend on what it was, though. So I would say generally no, but on specific things that are only for the benefit of one, then likely yes.
Councillor Shepherd?
So if that's true, for instance, if we have to go do third-party legal advice to draft a lease, just for example, would we charge that back? Or my understanding is under the current bylaw, we wouldn't.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that's true.
It would depend on the significance of it, I think. If it was a fairly minor thing or a standard thing we already know, then no. But if it was something special or significant, we would let the applicant know you're going to be on the hook for this. We also do it if we need to bring in a consultant. We'll let the applicant know, hey, you're going to need to pay for a consultant to do this work on our behalf, or we've charged extra fees when we've needed an engineer to review another engineer's work, for instance. Yeah. So we try to regain that lost money whenever we can.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Excellent. Yeah. Staff have got it. Great. Good question. Thank you. Councillor McLaughlin.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I noticed pages 55 to 57, we talk about fees and charges regarding our various venues that we rent out. And I know we were talking about maybe getting some information on how much they're used. But again, I'm looking at them. They're not that expensive or whatever. I presume the staff has thought about, are these fees too high to prevent a good level of use, or, thought about those issues. But again, it is a bit of a consideration. And those are ones that are particular to our district. So I guess, all right. I just thought I'd mention that we will look at the utilization of those properties, but it seems that, especially that we have a nonprofit fee that's very modest there for the use of them, I think it's acceptable. Thank you.
Okay. Now, I'm just wondering, I think it's a really good point. Is there a question in there maybe that you would like to have answered?
Well, I guess the staff could just confirm that they have thought about these things and that they don't have any concerns about changes. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I wouldn't say we don't have any concerns, but I think it's an excellent policy discussion for council to pursue. It's a balancing of making good use of the facilities that the taxpayers paid for without crippling the taxpayer to use their own facilities versus, retaining enough money to keep them maintained and what have you. So yeah, some of the things are so nominal, it's almost, why are we bothering? I think it'd be a great discussion to have at some point.
Yeah, I have to imagine some of, we don't cover, even cover the costs of running some of these. So I think that is a great discussion. I may ask for some assistance as to how we move that forward. Do we just keep it on in our minutes, or how do we move it forward as a next steps? Need, yes.
I mean, for today, we could pass we just pass the motion that's on the floor. We could simply add it to a future, or ask to add it to a future Cal for conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
If we want, I don't know that we need to make a motion specifically at this time.
Okay.
So,
I'd certainly like to see some action on this. I think it's a really good question and really good, as I say, a good conversation to have at this point. We know every dollar counts, and we also want to be fair to the community as well, that we have these services available, and that so that we are able to try and manage both. I think there's no motion, but
we have a motion on the floor right now.
okay. And the motion on the floor, can you please repeat that again? Oh, it's over here. See, I have my coach beside me. See, there we go. Where
As
is it?
recommended on page 38.
Thank you. I lose track after a while. It's a little bit of gray matter. There it is. The recommendation is like here. So there is a recommendation on the floor that fees and charges amendment bylaw 57517 2025 be considered for recommendation of first, second, and third readings. Do we have? Yep. All in favor? Thank you. All in favor? Further discussion? We don't need that.
You called the question.
I
that's
called the
it.
question. That's
Any
it. Further discussion? No, we're good. Any opposed?
Motion carries.
Motion's carried. Oh, I love it. It's it's really good to be a beginner, at least doing this.
On the 5.3.
Did you have a question, Carrie Ann, or comment? Thank you. Well,
So the next step for this bylaw process will be to bring these bylaws forward for the actual readings on November 5th and the adoption hopefully for the 19th if there's no additional issues or questions that need to be answered at that time. During that time, we'll also be doing public notification in the newspaper and promoting it on our social media page as well, just to make sure that the community is aware of these impending changes.
great. Thank you. Okay. A lot of great work, lots here. Okay. All right, super. So that is, I think that's everything we need to do on 5.2. And moving on now to 5.3, page 86. And who will be speaking to this?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a presentation for this, but I'll just add a little bit of background. The intent of this is to transition from offering free electric vehicle charging around the community to charging a fee for the power consumed in the effort to start using the fees to pay for the power and the long-term maintenance of these charging facilities. So this is just introducing those fees. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Shepherd.
Through the chair, I wonder if I could ask the rate, the nominal rate that's being requested here, how does that compare to sort of a full commercial charge being charged, for instance, by the shopping center, or one of those rates? Thanks.
So just for clarification, you're asking how does this rate compare to what's being charged at other centers? I don't know specifically what the kilowatt rate is at the mall, but I can come back with that number. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you, Chair. There is no level 2 charger at the mall.
Oh.
The level 2 charger at the mall was taken out because the cost to keep it repaired and maintained started to outweigh the benefit of having the charger there. And I know that the level 2 chargers up at Senco, up at the top of the hill, have just gone out of service in the last couple of weeks as well, because they almost caught a vehicle on fire. So it has been historical that level 2 charging is free as a sort of draw people in, plug your car up, plug your car in, go do your shopping, grab a coffee, whatever you need to do. But a lot of places, Trailbay Center, the IGA Mall in Wilson Creek, they've pulled the chargers out. And so people can charge at home Or, you know, the newer EVs do have fast charging, which is where the big units here just off the edge of the property come in handy. I think Hydro's charging a lot more than the 28 cents a kilowatt hour for fast charging. Just because they need to recoup the cost of that charger install. I know it's something we talked about a couple of years ago at this table, and at the time, there was still a lot of free charging opportunities around, and it didn't make a lot of sense for us to charge when nobody else is, and it's sort of a tourist draw, if you will, right? You can stop, plug in, go for a walk along the seawall, whatever. I'm supportive of it moving forward at this time, given the change in the landscape. But I did have a question here. Number of municipalities are listed, including Powell River up to the north. I'm wondering if staff know offhand if the town of Gibson's is charging for level 2 charging yet. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also not aware of what their charging structure is in Gibson's, but I can get back to you with that.
Thank you. Great. Just check, Mayor Henderson, did you have a comment? I didn't see fast.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just for the record, I've never used any of these chargers. No, I think this is fine. I can, charging rates range from, the best of my knowledge, around the province, 40 cents to 95 cents a kilowatt hour. If you plug into a 95-cent kilowatt hour, you don't stick around for very long. I'm really pleased to see a fee for parking after you're done charging, because that's a crippling thing when somebody shows up looking for a charger and the person's not using it, but they're still on the parking spot. So no, I think it's, the other thing I would encourage, there's signage on some of the chargers around to remind people of charging etiquette. I'd like to see us add those to any of our chargers if they're not indeed already there. And one other thought, Kinnikinnick would be an interesting one to see if Hydro would like to put in a fast charger, because that's very useful for visiting sports teams who show up in their cars and they want to charge while they or their children are playing sports. So, you know, you don't want 1 or 2 cars if there's 4 wanting to use the charger. So that would get it also off our list. And I guess, well, since you gave me the opportunity, the costs that are referenced for installing and maintaining all of these, I assume they include the cost for installing the ones behind the district office here, and of course the costs at the Ops Center and the Water Resource Center, which were all installed in part because of conditions of financing. In other words, we had to do it as part of getting financing for some of those projects.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So the costs referenced in the report were for all of the stations, so those are included.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I remember we were told with the Water Resource Center, you have to put one in if you want $1 million grant.
Oh.
It's
Wow.
pretty easy decision.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And Councillor Inkster.
I'm glad to see the evolution of the charging schedule, to see some charges for these. It'd be interesting to see how many when those other communities brought in charges. Because I know that when we started bringing them in, it was just to attract people to Sechelt. I think we had the first few on the Sunshine Coast and others got them. I also like the charging that occurs because I have seen, and I don't know if other people have seen it, is that at night it was the same 2 cars for a while parked at our chargers over here. So if you wanted to use them, anybody else, and you weren't in on the ease and the freeness, you weren't getting access to them unless you banged on somebody's window and said, you were here last night, go home. So that was a problem. And I also will tell council with this discussion is that I was trying to, when my kids were playing sports in Gibson's, trying to use their chargers, and was told that there were neighboring residents using the ones at the rec centers before they upgraded to the BC Hydro one. So I complained and said that they shouldn't be parked there every night. And then I believe they changed some policies and/or started to ask people how long they were there. And then they were freed up all of a sudden. Now more people than the same 2 cars could use them. So there was that problem because it was free. But then that story kind of hasn't stood up the test of time because they're all the big hydro chargers there now and the little ones are gone. So, but that was what was happening with free chargers, people just parking there for hours. Thanks.
I gotta learn more about this. It's another language for me, this whole stuff. So I don't have an EV yet, so thank you. Thank you. Mayor Henderson.
I know the question I didn't write down, but I did remember it. How are we going to administer this? Because again, I can tell you around the world, this is the hottest topic of all, that you plug into something, but you've got to have the right chip because it's owned by company X. You go to another station, it's a different chip because it's owned by company Y. So have we got a plan for how do we administer and charge this, and what's it going to cost?
Question.
Yes, thank you. Great question. Our series of chargers are through a company called ChargePoint, and that's through an app. So that's where the charges, both the charges will be administered as well as the notifications for being fully charged and the tracking of the grace period that's been discussed in the report. So that's through the ChargePoint company. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Toth.
Thank you. And it's fascinating because when the mall did still have a level 2 charger, I was one of the supervisors on the account for ChargePoint. So I could actually go in and I could see when it was being used, how long it's being used for. You could see not names, but you could see account numbers of who is using it and when and for how long. So you could actually get a fair bit of statistics on the back end. And so, you know, at the time, charging was free. If we wanted to charge through ChargePoint, that was all built into the interface and built into the cost that we were already paying over there for that licensing. So my understanding is it's not really going to be like an additional charge for us to start implementing costs. One thing is that you can tell who implemented costs for their chargers how long ago, because I think it was only about in the last year and a half that the federal government has actually allowed chargers to charge per kilowatt hour. For whatever reason, even though we pay per kilowatt hour at home, the federal government hadn't approved a standard for electric vehicle charging. So anybody that's just charging $1 or $2 per hour, they've actually been charging for quite some time because they weren't allowed to charge per kilowatt hour before. So, thanks.
Well, thank you for that. That's great information. Yeah, I bet. Mr. McLaughlin.
Thank you, through the chair. It's so much fun talking about transportation. I'm just wondering, you know, it's nice to have electric cars, but I think part of what we're trying to do here too is to get people out of their cars, get them walking, get them biking, getting them to take transit. And I noticed in our quarterly report, we had some mention of having a competition and getting some nice bicycle parking infrastructure done. Now, you know, I go to Independent Foods, whatever. I don't see anywhere to park a bike at a lot of these places in Sechelt, which to me is a little, you know, it's been a while. I think we should have a lot more infrastructure for that. So maybe we could use this fee, up it, and use it to finance some of our bicycle parking that we really should have. I think it would be, it's long overdue. And it might be an opportunity here that I didn't really think about, but you know, it is so cheap to just charge your car electrically. But what isn't cheap is us building roads, parking lots for stores, and just making it so easy for people to drive, especially if we have issues with ferries. If we can get people to travel without their cars, it would just be so wonderful. But it's going to take some enticements. So having easy parking everywhere should be, for bicycles, should be available. And I just don't see that happening here yet. So just something to talk about, think about.
And so is there a question that you'd like to?
Well, yeah, I guess if staff can enlighten me if they have any ideas on that. How are we going to pay for the bicycle parking? Or is this maybe something to consider as maybe a future policy? But again, I hate to you know, adopt a new bylaw with charges and fees and then turn around and want to change it. So thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any comments? Yeah.
So first I can comment a little bit on the bicycle parking. So for example, through last year's budget process, we did get funding to add bicycle parking. So that project is in progress right now. So that's what you read about in the quarterly report. And this is something that will continue to, in future budget years, identify locations through a variety of ways and communication with the public to where we need bicycle parking. So that's something we are actively looking at all the time. It's not currently built into the fees, of course, of the electric chargers, but it's something that you do see through the budget process.
Yes, Councillor Inkster.
Thanks, Chair. Well, we do have we spent millions of dollars on bike paths. So we're trying to encourage people to safely use our roads. And I'm glad to hear that the money's available to do bike racks. And I'm assuming we would put them throughout the community. I would just hate to say this, but because we're not seeing widespread use, because there's a bike rack here and a bike rack there, and council can do their own research as they leave the meeting tonight to see if they're well used. They need to be used more. But I just hope that as we plan them out, because I would love to see that cars, I mean, even the electric cars, I think the electric people know this, how heavy they are. So they're hard on the roads too, now the new ones, but so it would be good to have more people using bikes, and I hope they're bomb proof. Anything that we put throughout the community because of what people think is valuable and are taking, especially from dark areas, and trying to resell. So I hope they're bomb proof, and thanks for telling us that we're gonna start implementing a bike rack program. Thanks.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. All right. Any other comments? Okay, Councillor Todd.
Just, it's interesting because sure, electric vehicles have the extra weight of batteries, but they don't have the weight of gasoline engines and fuel. And the average EV weighs less than a Ford F-150. So there's a lot of F-150s on the coast. So I don't think it's fair to single out electric vehicles when you're talking about vehicle weight. Thanks.
Okay, well, we're getting into into a discussion around EVs. Okay, all right, so let's keep going here. Yeah, Councillor McLaughlin.
Just briefly through the chair, yeah, if I could clarify, yeah, I know we are putting bicycle parking on municipal properties, et cetera. I mean, my impression was that that's what our program was really about, but I think it'd be nice to have funding, and if we are doing some nice infrastructure, to offer it at businesses and other places where, like the RGA, where, they don't see it as a big priority, but obviously we'd like to help them do that. So that's where I was thinking. Of course, I think municipally, yeah, we do have some, and that's great. But we need to just have it sprinkled all over. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Councillor Shepherd.
Sorry, no, has the vote been, has anyone
Yes.
moved this recommendation?
Yes, we have a motion on the table. You do. No, we haven't moved it yet.
I'll move the recommendation
Okay.
on page 86.
Okay, seconder, yeah. Councillor Toth, all in favor? Okay. Carried. Tell when he's getting impatient. All right, good discussion. And now we're moving on to, I think that's it. I think that's it. Oh, very good. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn? Seconder, all in favor? Never seen that. Nobody's ever not, so. And we are done. There we go. Thank you. All right.